Right, let's get into it. Firstly, welcome back. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Secondly, for those of you that saw last week's episode, I said at the end of that video that we have an announcement for you today. And that announcement is every single month now on my YouTube channel, we'll be doing a £100 giveaway. So £100, and that is going to be a mix of supplements, Pro Coach merch, and a few other goodies in there as well. There's 3 rules to enter. First of all, you have to be a subscriber to my YouTube. So if you're not already, hit subscribe. Second of all, within every episode now, I'll be giving you a word or a phrase that you have to then comment underneath that video, and that classes as your ticket as one entry. I post on YouTube every single week, so you've got 4 or sometimes even 5 opportunities to enter. Thirdly, you need to be following me on Instagram, Ryan_Team Pro Coach. I'll be announcing the winner at the beginning of every month for that previous month's competition. So 3 rules: subscribe, comment the keyword or phrase, which can be at any point within each episode, and make sure you're following me on Instagram. Very, very excited to get this started. That'll be starting from next week, which is the first Sunday of June. We then have 4 videos rolling out in June. First competition winner will be the 1st of July. That'll be announced on my Instagram stories. I'll likely do a post as well so that everyone sees it. All right, so good luck to you all. Very excited just to start giving back. I'm so appreciative for everyone that sort of follows this journey. I put a lot into YouTube itself. It's growing slowly. I always knew it was going to be a slow burner, but I want to start sort of making sure that I'm looking after the people that are sort of loyal, coming back, engaging with my content, subscribing and supporting the journey. So good luck. Right, now that's out of the way, I thought it's about time to sit down and just update you all in terms of exactly where I'm at. I've moved into this next phase now in terms of pushing into an improvement phase. So I want to give you a breakdown today of everything in terms of my training variables, what the focus is with my training and where I'm looking to grow most throughout this improvement, my nutrition in terms of the specifics around my calorie and macronutrient intake, as well as what a normal day's worth of food looks like at the moment. I will be within the next week or 2 filming a full day of eating as well, so keep an eye out for that. And then just some specificities in terms of the goals now moving forward. How much body weight am I looking to gain week to week? How long is this phase gonna last? What's the long-term goal now moving forward, and where am I looking to take my physique? So first of all, nutrition. We are getting things back up to a decent amount. I was saying to Eddie earlier, my appetite is firing on all cylinders at the moment. Food's still fairly moderate. So caloric intake is different on training day versus non-training day. Obviously using that principle of just driving more nutrition towards the days that I need it most in terms of training performance and I can use it most. So training days are 3,065 calories. That's split between 222 grams of protein, 425 grams of carb, and then 53 grams of fat. And then on my non-training days, we simply just shift that so that we pull carbohydrates down a little bit, push fats up slightly, and also just have a slightly lower caloric intake overall. So calories on those days are 2,816, 225 protein, 335 carb, and then 64 fat. Now, in terms of the training days themselves, I'll give you a bit of a structure and idea of how I lay those out in terms of my training. So at the moment, I'm training at around 2:30/3 o'clock every day. That then allows me to have 2 good sized meals before and then 2 meals after training. I'm tending to fast up until 10 a.m. So I personally work very, very well not eating throughout the morning in terms of productivity. So I'll get a good sort of 2.5 hour work block bashed out within the morning before I start to eat. Meal 1 will then be the classic chicken, jasmine rice, cashews, a few veggies, and then a squares bar on the side. That will then lead into another meal 3 hours later at 1 o'clock. It's about 90 minutes prior to the time I'm gonna start training, which is 2 bagels. One has peanut butter, one has jam, and then the protein source is either whey protein or like a chicken and a little bit of veg on the side of that as well, depending on sort of where I'm at that day. I'll then go in and train, and at the moment, I'm fueling my training session with a little bit of intra-workout carb. So I'm using highly branched cyclic dextrin, which in terms of an intra-carb source is likely your best bet in terms of the digestive capabilities of it, just how light it sits on the stomach and how easily it's absorbed into the bloodstream for use as an energy source within that session itself. And then I use some EAAs alongside that as well. Not 100% necessary, but a nice sort of buffer in terms of protein within the session. and they just taste good, all right? So both from Supplement Needs there. I use the fruit splash flavor of EAAs at the moment, which I really like. In there as well, I also whack my creatine, simply just because I forget to take it at any other time of the day if I don't put it intra. And then just a couple of grinds of salt as well, just to give me a little bit of sodium and potassium, etc. So I'll then train, and after my training session, I live like 30, 40 minutes away from the gym, so I've got a good drive home. So on the drive home is when I'll have a whey protein shake, and then I'll smash a whole pack of Squares bars on the way home. So 4 Squares bars down the hatch, I can just easily eat them when I'm driving. That then ties me through to meal 4, which at the moment changes every single night because me and Yaz do HelloFresh, which is really good because it just gives you variety within your nutrition. I've got enough calories now to be sort of fitting in whatever caloric intake that has. But we always just go for like the protein-based meals. But if you guys are, let's say, within a gaining phase, you've got more calories to play with, but you're getting a little bit bored of your nutrition, these companies that do this stuff, like HelloFresh, like Gusto, all those other sort of companies that just ship all of the ingredients in one package, you can then just cook them up. It's nice and easy. What I'm finding is I'm just enjoying my food so much more. I'm very sort of habitual throughout the day. I have exactly those sort of meals throughout the day, every day. So having that variance in the evening works really well. All I'll do then is track that and then make up the rest of my macros within the sort of hour after my dinner. So whether that be sort of an extra snack to bump up my carbs or a little bit more protein, etc., I'll just make up that. But in terms of nutrition, that's working well. As I said, appetite's firing on all cylinders. So a big thing within a gaining phase, especially for me in the past, just appetite is the biggest like roadblock that you end up hitting. I know that in 6 months time, 9 months time, my calories are going to be very, very high. So being able to gain weight at this stage on a fairly low caloric intake is actually a benefit because I have a long runway to continue to push up. So from a nutrition standpoint, that's where things are at. Next up, let's cover training.
Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, that's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I've been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text from way downtown, but the shit's still wet. Yeah, that's a guarantee.
So training wise, we have 5 sessions a week now. 2 uppers, 2 lowers, and then 1 delta and arm session, which I've done within last week's YouTube video. The split itself is in a place whereby I will be growing everywhere. I'm at a size and I'm at a point in my sort of physique development where I need more size everywhere. It's a case of having that additional delta and arm day in to bump up the volume and stimulus to those guys, because I know that I need to particularly put size on those areas in order to bring my physique up in the way that I need to. But with the 2 uppers, 2 lowers, and that tag on, everything's distributed in terms of volume fairly evenly. It's nice now that I've got the 2 lower days, as I said in a previous episode, because I was just doing 1 throughout the dieting phase and actually missed doing 2 leg days, weirdly, because I love sort of training legs, I love training hard, but I also want to build those guys. Even though competitive-wise, I won't be showing them in the future because I'll be doing men's physique. I don't want to be one of those guys with small legs. I love building my legs. So that is the split itself. In terms of, as I said, volume, intensity parameters, etc., we've actually pushed the number of sets per exercise that little bit higher than it was within the recomp phase. Simply down to the fact that A, I can recover from that now, down to the fact that I've got more food, I've got more fuel, and I've thus got a higher recovery capacity. But B, I'm actually training in a style that I haven't trained in a while, like with volume a little bit higher, rather than just running like a 2-set loading set and back off set on everything. On a lot of my bigger movements, I've got, let's say, 3 sets now, and I'm running that slightly higher volume, which is working really well. And it's ultimately a new stimulus for me at this stage. And I'm feeling good, recovering well, feeling strong as hell in the gym at the moment. Pumps are really good, waking up ready to train. So training wise, it's going really, really well. And then lastly, in terms of the specifics of the goals now moving forward, what I'm looking to see happen on a week-to-week and month-to-month basis. Within a gainer phase, your markers of progression come away from visuals on a week-to-week basis, because realistically, things aren't going to change very, very quickly. In a dieting phase, it's why a lot of people like getting lean, because every single week, every single sort of couple of weeks, and definitely every month, you can see big changes in your visuals. But I think for anyone pushing their body weight up, it's almost important to start taking your focus away from that a little bit. Still take your weekly progress pictures, still stay accountable. You will still see yourself improve. But in order to make those improvements, your focus now needs to be on your training progressions, performance, and doing everything possible within your day in terms of sleep, nutrition, recovery, etc., to drive as much performance and strength into those sessions. So ultimately that is the stimulus that's going to create the adaptation. And number two, looking at body weight and actually being motivated by seeing that go up now, okay? So in terms of this beginning stage, rate of gain we're going for is around a pound a week. So in kilos, sort of 0.4 of a kilo per week, I think that works out as. So across a month, we should be looking at gaining 3 to 4 pounds and seeing that trend line average up at that sort of direction. We're gonna have weeks that are faster, we're gonna have weeks that are slower. There's always gonna be fluctuation, but we're looking at that longer term vision of £1 a week on average, 3-4 pounds a month on average. That then should put me at a brilliant trajectory across the year to be gaining in a position where I'm able to gain muscle and minimize fat percentage, but accept the fact that I'm gonna be putting on a bit of fat. I'm not gonna look as lean as I did within my diets previously, and mentally that's something you've got to prepare for, right? You're not gonna have abs by the end of your gaining phase. You're gonna feel fluffy, probably gonna feel a bit uncomfortable. In order to make significant change in terms of the amount of muscle mass that you have to push to those points, but get there slowly. This is a long game now. Now, time frame wise, we are, mid-May now, going into the end of May. My goal is to push for at least the rest of this year. So we've got, 7 months left of this year, 6-7 months left of this year, going into June. That will all be pushing towards more body weight, more strength, more muscle. At points, I will run holding phases whereby we simply just either hold or pull calories down a little bit, maintain the new body weight PBs that I've hit, allow that body weight to settle in, almost marinate a little bit, allow my appetite to come back a little bit potentially, and then begin to push through. Mentally, we're pushing through for 10 to 12 week blocks prior to then assessing and then going into that. At some point, I'll need to take a little bit of a step back in terms of body fat, maybe run a 4, 6, 8 week mini cut, but that's way down the line. My sole focus now is get my food in, train as hard as I can, grow as much as I can, and put on as much size as I can. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight into where everything's at. I want to keep a good balance on this channel in terms of tracking my own progress, giving you updates in terms of my own personal journey, but also going into my work, my coaching, and my clients' progress. Stay tuned because we'll be doing that full day of eating that I said about to give you the specifics in terms of what my day looks like from morning to night, in terms of food, in terms of training, in terms of my daily routine. Outside of that, I'm very happy with how things are going at the moment. As always, do that YouTuber stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.